Next, I will walk you through hurdles. I'm going to go ahead and open the Class A class here and click Add a Hurdle. We'll see there's a couple new fields here, and I'll walk you through what they all mean. So straight off the bat here, we can see that there's this upside split saying 80% goes to Class A and 20% goes to Class B. So in our distribution calculator, distributions that are being paid out to Class A will then be actually split 80% to Class A and 20% to Class B until Class A achieves, say, 6% return. And then after that 6% return, the next hurdle will take effect. So we'll go over that in a moment. To touch on these other fields here, we can go ahead and name this hurdle. This is just for your own reference, doesn't really matter. We have the preferred return type. If we select cash on cash here, you can see that there's this catch up on pref. If the first distribution does not meet pref, the next one will try to catch up and make up for that first one. Honor only on capital event. This is for some operating agreements that specify a different waterfall structure for capital events or capital transactions, such as refinance, sale of the project, etc. And then when creating a distribution, you can choose if it's a capital event or not. The final field here is the final hurdle. If we go ahead and change this to yes, we can see it removes the upper bound on this split. So any distributions will be split 80-20 forever. So next, I want to show you how to actually use these hurdles. So say we have this specific scenario where Class A has a 6% pref, and then it's split 80-20 until Class A achieves a 10% return. And beyond that, any distributions are split 50-50 between the LPs and the GPs. Before I go ahead and set that up, I'm going to go ahead into this GP class. Most of the time, if you're using hurdles, you'll want to set distribution share to 0, and then go to the LP class here, and distribution share, in this case, it'll be 100. If you had two LP classes, you could split it 50-50 between them, or whatever your operating agreement says. So from here, now that everything is going to the LP class, we'll then set up the hurdles, and the hurdles will then funnel some money back to the GP class. We mentioned that Class A here will have a 6% pref. So the way we represent that is 100% will be paid out to Class A until it achieves a 6% return. We'll call this one Hurdle 1 pref, and everything else here looks good. So we can add the next hurdle, which represents the 80-20 split until Class A gets that 10% return. We can go ahead and call this one Hurdle 2, cash on cash. And then finally, once that 10% return is met, everything goes and splits 50-50. So we'll turn this to final hurdle and change this to 50-50, and we'll call it here Hurdle 3 final. So to recap here, we've set the distribution share to be 100 for Class A. This means all of the money will be directed towards Class A, and then the hurdles will funnel some of it back to Class B under certain conditions. We have the 100% to Class A until it achieves a 6% return. This is representing a 6% pref. Once that 6% pref has been achieved, the money will be split 80-20 until Class A gets a 10% return. And then once that 10% return has been achieved, any remaining distributions will be split 50-50.